Right now, as you are watching this, a wall of Atlantic low-pressure systems is locking onto the United Kingdom, and what is coming over the next 2 weeks could be the most disruptive weather stretch since Storm Goretti ripped through Cornwall at 99 miles per hour just 4 weeks ago. If you live anywhere in the United Kingdom, you need to know exactly when this hits your area, how bad it gets, and when it finally lets up. Stay with me because in the next 15 minutes, I am going to break down the forecast city by city, hour by hour, so you know precisely what to prepare for. But first, here is the number that should grab your attention. The Met Office updated their long-range outlook at 4 in the morning on the 5th of February, 2026. And the word they used was cyclonic. Cyclonic patterns dominating the entire United Kingdom through mid-February. That is not normal weather language. That is the kind of language they used before Goretti left over 25,000 homes without power in the southwest. Now, before you panic, I am not saying another Goretti is coming. What I am saying is that the pattern driving this weather is relentless, and it is not going anywhere for at least 2 weeks. Here is what makes this situation so unusual. There are 2 giant atmospheric forces about to collide directly over Britain. From the west, vigorous Atlantic frontal systems are pushing towards our shores. From the northeast, a stubborn blocking high-pressure system is refusing to budge. When these 2 forces meet, the frontal systems slow down dramatically. They stall. And when weather systems stall over the United Kingdom, they dump everything they have got: rain, wind, and in the north, heavy snow. Now, at minute 5, I promised you the city-by-city breakdown, and that is exactly what you are getting. But if you want to know which single city faces the most dangerous conditions this fortnight, stay until minute 8 because the answer genuinely surprised me. Let us start in the south and work our way north. London. The capital is looking at daytime highs of around 8 degrees Celsius, dropping to roughly 2 degrees overnight. That sounds manageable until you hear this. The 14th of February, Valentine's Day, is forecast to be the coldest day of the entire month. Temperatures could plunge to 0.9 degrees. If you have evening plans in central London, you will need more than a nice outfit. You will need thermals underneath it. Rainfall in mid-February is actually the driest stretch of the month for London, averaging just 1.16 millimeters per day. But do not let that fool you. The Met Office is warning that frontal systems can deliver heavy downpours with almost no notice. Sunshine? You are looking at 2 to 4 hours per day. That is just 23% of available daylight. And humidity sits at 83%, which means that 7 or 8 degrees will feel significantly colder than the number suggests. There is even talk of a snow day around the 14th. Snow in London rarely sticks, but if you are commuting that morning, allow extra time. Now, here is something most people do not realize. Oxford and Cambridge, often assumed to be too mild for serious snow, actually average over 3 snowy days in February each. Oxford typically sees 19 millimeters of snow accumulation, Cambridge around 23 millimeters. When cold continental air sweeps across from mainland Europe, the southeast of England can sometimes receive heavier snowfalls than the northwest. That is a genuine twist most people never expect. Bristol and the southwest. Daytime temperatures between 7 and 9 degrees make this one of the milder corners of Britain. But mild does not mean safe. Plymouth recorded 11 degrees on the 6th of February, the warmest reading of any major United Kingdom city, yet the Met Office simultaneously issued a yellow weather warning for the area. Plymouth faces the Atlantic head-on. It is the first point of contact for incoming weather systems. Stronger winds and heavier rain than anywhere further inland. The southwest is currently inside a yellow warning zone, and after what Goretti did to Cornwall, with gusts reaching 99 miles per hour and tens of thousands left without electricity, nobody in this region should be complacent. Cardiff and Wales. Here is something that surprises nearly everyone. February is actually the snowiest month of the year in Cardiff. When Arctic air masses plunge southward and collide with moisture-laden air above the sea, Cardiff can experience quite dramatic snowfalls. Daytime temperatures sit between 8 and 10 degrees, with about 9 wet days expected. But the real concern is further north in Wales. Snowdonia and the higher ground are expecting conditions similar to January, with significant snow accumulation possible. The Met Office has specifically warned about flood risk in western regions where the ground is already completely saturated from weeks of rain. If you live in a flood-sensitive area of Wales, now is the time to check your preparations. Do not skip ahead because what I am about to reveal about the northern cities will change how you plan the rest of this month. Manchester. England's second city averages between 7 and just over 7 degrees during the day, dropping to between 1 and 1.6 degrees overnight. The 15th of February is forecast to be the warmest day at 7.8 degrees. The 8th of February could be the coldest at 0.8 degrees. But here is the number that matters most. Manchester averages 9 snowy days in February. 9. with typical accumulations of around 19 millimetres. That is enough to disrupt road and rail networks connecting Manchester with the rest of the country. With Atlantic frontal systems sweeping repeatedly across the northwest, sudden wintry showers could strike with very little warning. Liverpool. Sitting on the shores of the Irish Sea, Liverpool gets the moderating warmth of the water at night, keeping overnight lows slightly higher than Manchester, just 50 kilometres to the east. But the price is wind. Liverpool sits directly in the path of Atlantic winds funneling across the Irish Sea. During mid-February, with active low-pressure systems in play, gusts along the Mersey waterfront can be formidable. The Met Office has specifically cautioned about strong winds in coastal areas, and Liverpool is among the most exposed cities in England. Rainfall, 15 wet days in February. The 12th of February is flagged as the wettest day, with precipitation potentially reaching 4.55 millimetres. Birmingham. England's heartland offers no escape. Daytime temperatures around 7 degrees, falling to roughly 2 degrees after dark. Being inland means overnight frosts bite harder than in coastal cities. Birmingham averages nearly 4 days of snowfall in February with around 15 millimetres of accumulation. The city sits within one of the Met Office yellow weather warning areas for the West Midlands, and the risks of flooding are genuine. Leeds and Sheffield and the Yorkshire region. This is where things get particularly interesting. Yorkshire is where the boundary between rain and snow becomes most blurred. The Pennine Hills lie immediately to the west, and as Atlantic rain bands sweep eastward, they hit the rising ground, get forced upward, and produce enhanced rainfall or enhanced snowfall considerably heavier than anything on the lowland plains. Both Yorkshire and Humber and the East and West Midlands are currently under flood warnings. The ground is saturated, river levels are elevated. Any additional rain during mid-February could trigger localised flooding with very little notice. Newcastle. This is winter-s frontier in England. On the 6th of February, the Met Office recorded just 5 degrees in Newcastle with a yellow weather warning across the entire northeast. As rain bands advancing from the west move into the colder air of the north, they transition to snow. Potentially even at lower levels along the coast during the most intense cold episodes. Forecast models suggest that by mid-February, low-pressure systems may track further south, amplifying the wintry threat across the whole of northern Britain. Now here is the moment I told you to wait for. The city facing the most extreme conditions this fortnight, Edinburgh and Glasgow in the Scottish Highlands. Glasgow receives more snowfall in February than any other major city in the United Kingdom. Let that sink in for a moment. Glasgow averages nearly 4 snowy days during the month, with accumulations reaching a remarkable 49 millimetres. That is nearly double Edinburgh's figure, and roughly 3 times Manchester's Edinburgh itself averages between nearly 3 and 10 snowy days in February. February is the snowiest month of the year in Edinburgh. Rainfall adds to the misery with 13 to 15 wet days and total precipitation of around 47 millimetres. Sunshine, a mere 2 hours per day. But the real story is further north. Aberdeen recorded just 4 degrees on the 6th of February, the lowest temperature of any major city being monitored. The Scottish Highlands are expecting potential snow accumulations of 5 to 10 centimetres above 200 metres elevation. In blizzard conditions, that figure could rise to 20 to 30 centimetres across the highest summits. The Met Office has issued amber warnings for parts of Scotland. Amber, not yellow. That means a greater likelihood of serious impacts. Rural Scotland faces a real risk of being cut off by snow-blocked roads and experiencing power outages. Do not forget, just 4 weeks ago, Storm Goretti sent temperatures plunging to minus 14.7 degrees at Tomintoul in Banffshire. 27 centimetres of snow fell at Altnaharra in Sutherland, minus 13.3 degrees at Braemar in Aberdeenshire, and then Storm Chandra followed with gusts of 70 to 80 miles per hour in Cornwall and 10 to 20 centimetres of snow over the Pennines and Highlands. This is the pattern that is continuing. Belfast. Northern Ireland's capital is one of the wettest cities in the entire United Kingdom during February, recording over 16 rainy days and 53 millimetres of total precipitation. That is very nearly 1 wet day in every 2. Mid-February, temperatures range between 5 and 7 degrees. On the 6th of February, the Met Office recorded 5 degrees alongside a yellow weather warning. Snow is also a real factor here, with an average of nearly 3 snowy days in February and typical accumulations of around 25 millimetres. Although Belfast sits on relatively low ground, incursions of Arctic air can quite easily leave the city's streets blanketed in white. The Met Office has issued yellow warnings for the whole of Northern Ireland, confirming that the days ahead will be far from straightforward. Strong winds, heavy rain, and snow are the 3 principal hazards. If you live in Belfast or the surrounding districts, prepare for all 3 simultaneously. Let me repeat the most critical points because this is information that could genuinely affect your safety. Yellow warnings are active across Northern Ireland, London and the southeast, the southwest, the Midlands and the north. Amber warnings are active for parts of Scotland. The western regions face the heaviest rainfall. Northern England and Scotland face the highest snow risk. Flooding is a genuine concern in Yorkshire, the Midlands, and parts of Wales where river levels are already elevated. Do not miss the next section because I am about to explain exactly why this particular February is different from anything we have seen in recent years. Now, here is the broader picture that ties everything together. The Met Office has forecast that 2026 will be among the 4 warmest years ever recorded globally, with average global temperatures expected to sit approximately 1.46 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels. That would mark the 4th consecutive year exceeding the 1.4 degree threshold. Before this recent surge, the global temperature had never exceeded 1.3 degrees above pre-industrial levels. A temporary exceedance of the 1.5 degree Paris Agreement target in 2026 is entirely plausible. What does this mean for your weather? It means the atmosphere is carrying more moisture. More moisture means heavier rain. Heavier rain on already saturated ground means a higher flood risk everywhere. Here is your practical action plan for the next 2 weeks. This is the part you will want to screenshot or write down because getting this right could save you serious trouble. Layer your clothing. Temperatures can shift from near freezing at dawn to 8 or 10 degrees by midday in the south. A waterproof, windproof jacket is not optional, it is essential. Hat, gloves, and scarf are non-negotiable if you are in Scotland or Northern England. Carry an umbrella every single day. With 19 wet days expected across the United Kingdom in February, the probability of rain on any given day is remarkably high. Showers can appear with almost no warning and can sometimes be torrential. Check Met Office weather warnings before any journey. Yellow and amber warnings are currently active across numerous regions. Ignoring them can put you in genuinely dangerous situations, particularly on motorways or in rural areas. If you are driving in Northern England or Scotland, check road conditions before setting out. Snow and ice can make roads treacherous, especially on routes crossing higher ground. Keep a small shovel, a warm blanket, and a torch in the boot of your car. That is not being dramatic. That is being sensible. Now I need your help. Drop a comment below telling me where you are watching from, your city, your town, your region. I will be replying with specific forecasts tailored to your area. If you are in a flood risk zone or a snow risk zone, I want to make sure you have the information you need. The more specific you are, the more specific I can be. This weather pattern is not done with us yet. In my next video, I will be covering the second half of February and into early March, because the models are showing something developing in the Atlantic that could make everything we have discussed today look like a warm-up. The blocking high pressure pattern is showing signs of shifting, and when it does, the weather that has been stalling over Western Britain could accelerate across the entire country in a matter of hours. You will want to see that forecast before it happens. Keep warm, keep your phone charged for weather alerts, check in on elderly neighbours who might struggle in these conditions. And whatever you do, do not ignore those Met Office warnings. They exist for a reason, and this February, they have never been